I was called a family failure by my brother until his fiancée discovered my Forbes cover. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. I stood there, chest tight, as my brother's voice sliced through the silence like a blade. "You're nothing but a family failure," he screamed, rage spilling from his lips. My heart raced, pounding in my ears. This was the same brother I looked up to, the one I thought would support me. But on that day, all I felt was betrayal. He didn't care about my struggles, my sleepless nights spent chasing dreams that seemed so far away. The dim lights in the room flickered, shadows dancing on the walls. I could feel the warmth of tears gathering in my eyes, threatening to spill over. Behind me, I could hear the whispers of our family, judging, waiting for me to shatter. This was supposed to be a celebration, a family gathering filled with laughter. Now it felt like a funeral for my hope. My hands trembled as I fumbled with the edges of my dress, feeling utterly small in a room full of expectations. Growing up, I was always compared to him. The successful brother, the shining star, the overachiever. It never mattered how hard I tried. My projects weren't good enough, my decisions didn't meet the mark. Each failure stung like a wasp, leaving me paralyzed in a web of self-doubt. But then I thought things were changing. I had been working day and night as a freelancer, and after years of struggling, a miracle happened. I got featured on the cover of Forbes. My heart swelled with pride at this recognition. Finally, maybe now I'd earn my family's respect. But when I shared this news, it only fueled the flames of disappointment. My brother's scoff cut through my joy like a knife. "A cover doesn't make you successful," he retorted, and I felt the room tremble around me. His fiancée, standing by his side, glanced towards me, her eyes flickering with a mix of confusion and doubt. Did she see me as I was? Or through my brother's judgmental lens? I craved validation, a sense of belonging. Instead, I was met with condescension. My pulse quickened again, a mix of defiance and desperation washing over me. I had worked hard. Shouldn't that count for something? I made my way to the door, heart racing with every step. I needed air. I stepped outside into the chilly night, the stars twinkling like distant promises. Each breath I took was shaky, filled with a sense of loss and determination. I would prove them wrong. But just as I caught my breath, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a message. Her name lit up the screen. "Can we talk? I need to know more about that Forbes cover." My heart thudded against my ribcage. What could she possibly want? Was she really interested? Or was this another way for her to validate her fiancé's stance? The door swung open behind me, and the warmth of the living room flooded out, a stark contrast to the biting cold I felt in my chest. I turned to face my brother, the expression on his face twisted with anger. "Where do you think you're going?" The question lingered as the weight of the moment intensified. Did I dare face the truth? Would the cover even change anything? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The cold air bit into my skin, a stark reminder of the reality I was trying to escape. I glanced back at my brother. His expression hardened into something unrecognizable, chasing away any lingering belief that he could understand me. "I need to sort things out," I said, the edge of weariness creeping into my tone. I wasn't just talking about outside. I was referencing the chaos brewing inside me, the turmoil that echoed my brother's words. "Sort what out? Your fantasy? That cover doesn't mean anything," he retorted, stepping closer, invading my personal space. The anger emanating from him felt like the choking grasp of disappointment. I shut my eyes momentarily, desperately searching for the resolve that had just ignited within me. "It means something to me, Justin," I whispered, hoping to reach a part of him that cared. But as the night unfolded, I recalled what I had felt when that cover was released. The elation surged through me like a current, a fleeting moment of acknowledgement, in a world where I often felt invisible. Before I could respond, I felt a fleeting presence beside me. It was Rowan, my brother's fiancée. Her soft voice, a contrast to the storm brewing between us, broke the tension. "Can I talk to you?" Her eyes had a spark of something almost maternal, a hint of empathy that sent a flicker of hope through my battered heart. "Where?" I asked, glancing toward the safety of the dimly lit porch beside the entrance. "Let's go to the garden. It's quieter there," she suggested, and without waiting for an answer, she led the way. The grass was crisp under my feet, darkened by shadows and illuminated by the sporadic glow of fairy lights strung overhead. I stood with my arms wrapped around myself, searching Rowan's face for a sign of judgment. "I know he can be short-sighted," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I saw your cover. It's incredible." Surprise washed over me, mingling with fear. "You don't have to say that," I replied, my voice trembling. "You don't know the truth." "I do actually. I know what it's like to feel overshadowed," she continued, her brows knitting together in understanding. "Justin's always been the golden child. I'm proud of you for your hard work. You deserve this moment." I blinked back tears, bewildered by her unexpected kindness. "But it's just a cover. It doesn't change who I am," I confessed, my heart aching, hopeful yet aware of the massive gulf between aspiration and reality. She stepped closer, her sincerity breaking the walls I had put around myself. "It's a start, and it means you are getting noticed. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone but you." Her words hung in the air like thin strands of a spider's web, fragile yet containing an unsteady strength. I inhaled deeply, feeling the warmth of her encouragement wrap around me like a blanket, defying the chill of the night air. "It's just hard," I murmured, the weight of countless years sinking in. "I've always felt like I was failing." Rowan nodded as if she carried the same burdens herself. But we shared a fleeting moment, a divine connection anchored in mutual understanding. Just before I could let the positivity settle in, my brother's voice boomed from the porch, slicing through the delicate brows of hope we had woven. "Let's go. I need you back in there." Rowan's hand on my arm tightened as if offering support against the impending storm. "Don't let him take away your moment," she urged, her eyes searching mine. And in that instant I felt seen, ready to demand a space for my own voice amidst the clamor of others. But as I turned reluctantly, the warmth of camaraderie faded, replaced by the weight of expectation. I felt trapped between two worlds, the dark, cold reality of my brother's disdain and Rowan's flickering light of support. And then it hit me like a lightning bolt. My phone chimed, revealing another message. This one was from an old friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. "I heard about your Forbes cover. We need to meet. I've got something important to share." My heart raced wildly. What on earth could it be? Was it a job opportunity? Or something more personal that would shake the already unstable foundations of my life? I felt Rowan's eyes still on me, and as I caught her gaze, I knew that whatever was on the horizon beckoned with the promise of change. "Hold on," I said, a sense of urgency flooding my veins. I needed to reply. I needed to know what I was stepping into. But as I turned back to my phone, the discomforting realization pressed in. I had just moved from one storm to another, triggering the inevitable question haunting me in the darkness of the night. Did embracing this new potential mean saying goodbye to what I had known, including my family? The uncertainty churned in my stomach, a painful blend of hope and dread. The cliff of my future loomed closer, its edges sharp and treacherous. Would I leap into the unknown? Or would I fall into the abyss of my brother's disdain? As fear curled its fingers around my mind, I realized one thing. I was about to discover just how much I was willing to risk. The swirling clouds in my mind intensified as I stood on the brink of two worlds, heart thudding with every thought that raced through me. The faint luminescence from my phone cast ominous shadows across the garden's hedges, and it was as if the very air thickened with a sense of impending change. I took a breath, trying to steady the tremor in my hands as I realized how much this message could shift everything in my life. "What did they say?" Rowan's voice pulled me back from the precipice of my spiraling thoughts, her concern laced with curiosity. "Someone from the past." I hesitated, the weight of that implication still settling on my chest. "An old friend wants to meet." The words tasted foreign on my tongue, conjuring feelings I had tried to bury deep. "Old friend? Sounds intriguing," she said, her eyebrow arching in excitement, but concern lingered in her gentle eyes. "You haven't spoken to them in a while, have you? Is it someone you trust?" I averted my gaze, the darkness of the past creeping back in. I thought I could trust them once, I admitted softly. But things went wrong. Really wrong. Her hand instinctively tightened around my arm. A beacon of warmth in the chilling night. You don't have to go if it makes you uncomfortable. You've made it this far on your own. But what she didn't understand was that the pang of doubt gnawed at me much deeper than the decision to meet an old friend. It was the fear of returning home to face my brother. The paralyzing uncertainty of trying to carve out my identity without shattering my family ties. I glanced back at the house. The faint laughter of my relatives seeping through the walls like a distant memory I longed to retrieve. It's not just him, I whispered barely audibly, as a tear threatened to spill over. It's the weight of expectations. I feel this constant push and pull. Like I'm always at risk of being seen as a failure, not just in his eyes, but in the eyes of everyone who matters. Rowan's grasp softened, her thumb brushing against the fabric of my sleeve with a tenderness that soothed my aching spirit. But what if you're not a failure? She offered gently. What if you're just exploring who you are? There's no manual on how to navigate these things. Her words stirred something deep within. A flicker of recognition of a life lived outside the constraints of judgment. I met her gaze, understanding the layers of her own struggles intersecting with my own. Suddenly, a wave of emotion crashed into me, sending shards of vulnerability scattering around my heart. What if I lose them? What if pursuing my dreams means I wander too far away from my family? The confession bubbled from my lips, raw and unfiltered. What if I'm not strong enough to face this? Rowan stepped closer, her body a shield against the darkness surrounding us. You might lose some parts of what you know, but you could also gain something far more important. Your voice, your truth. That's a risk worth taking. My heart responded in a strange cacophony of agreement and doubt. She was right. The fear of failure was the very hand that had gripped my heart and lungs tighter than any nightmare. I felt a thrill laced with fear swirl inside me. The tangled web of my fears had become my comfort, and the thought of letting go made my stomach flip. As I struggled with those thoughts, the weight of my brother's voice interrupted our moment. Where are you guys? He shouted again, his impatience echoing through the silence of the night. Rowan's face darkened slightly, and sheer determination flickered in her eyes, a silent understanding passing between us. You deserve to become the person you're meant to be. Just remember that conversations are two ways. You'll still have to confront him. Nodding hesitantly, I pulled my phone back into view, fingers hovering above the keyboard as I mulled over my options. Memories of a time long past surged in my mind. Laughter, encouragement, and then the inevitable misunderstandings that had pushed us apart. With the hum of laughter drifting from the house, I typed out a quick response to my friend, setting a date and time for our meeting. Almost instantly, my heart raced anew as the reply pinged back. Great! I'll see you then. Can't wait to share this news. Rowan's eyes sparkled with excitement, but an undercurrent of apprehension rolled within me. I had made a choice to step into the unknown, another path diverging from the one my brother and I had walked together for so long. But before I could savor it, the horizon dimmed as a low rumble of uncertainty threaded its way back into my chest. Was I truly prepared to embrace the unpredictability of the friendship that had once shattered my life? Are you okay? Rowan's gentle inquiry nudged me out of my spiraling thoughts. You look. The words morphed into shadow as I felt a sudden gut-wrenching anxiety wrap around my heart. I don't know, Rowan, I admitted, my voice shaking. What if I go back inside and... He already knows. Just as hope flickered in the hallway's distance, dark clouds of fear surged in to shroud the light. What if, in my moment of quiet reflection, I had been found out? What if my brother's disdain had followed me, ready to haunt me no matter the path I chose? As Rowan opened her mouth, likely to offer comforting words, a figure loomed behind her. Justin stood at the edge of the garden with an expression that sliced through the momentum, mixture of confusion and anger contorting his features. The cliff had arrived, with darkness beneath my feet, and suddenly I was teetering dangerously on its edge. The air thickened with tension as Justin's eyes locked onto me, a storm brewing beneath his furrowed brow. What are you doing out here? He snapped, every syllable laden with accusation. His presence felt like an electric fence, and the urge to retreat into the solace of shadows ignited a primal instinct within me. Though I had thought I'd steeled myself for this encounter, the vulnerability I leveled at my brother exposed me like an open wound. I could sense Rowan's uncertainty beside me, the comforting warmth she had once offered now feeling precarious under the weight of Justin's glare. Just talking, I replied, attempting to sound nonchalant despite the tremor in my voice. Talking? In the middle of the night? He stepped forward, clearing the gap that had once shielded us. A physical embodiment of my own internal battles. You don't get to act casual. You disappear and then you just show up like nothing's wrong? Every accusation hung in the air. A raw wound ripped wide open. I glanced at Rowan, who met my eyes momentarily, a silent plea for strength or guidance that I desperately sought, yet couldn't find. I'm trying to figure things out, Justin, I said, my heart racing against the prison of his gaze. Change is hard for everyone. Can't you see that? Change? He scoffed, his voice sharp enough to cut through the thick tension. You've turned your back on everything we've worked for. On family. That simple. Anger flared within me. It ignited all the moments I buried, the late-night arguments and expectations that felt more suffocating than supportive. Is that all you see? A disappointment? You should know better than anyone what it's like to struggle. His face twisted with disbelief, the pain in my words ricocheting off the walls of his defenses. You always had excuses, didn't you? It's my life. I'm figuring things out. What about the lives of those who care about you? The bitterness twisted like a knife in my heart, and for a moment, I wanted to scream, cry out for the understanding I desperately craved. Instead, I just stood there, feeling every accusation settle into the marrow of my bones. Rowan shifted beside me, making the brave decision to step into the fray. Justin, have you ever considered that sometimes people need to fall before they can rise? This isn't about turning your back. It's about finding your own way. He turned, eyes narrowed, focusing on her rather than me. And who are you to give her advice? You're just a friend. The dismissive tone sent shards of resentment spiraling through me. Just a friend? Rowan's eyes flared with indignation. I'm someone who cares. Is that something you can't understand? Maybe she needs to explore without your constant grip holding her back. Back off. He got closer, fists clenching at his sides, as if readying for a fight that hung unsaid in the night air. My heart raced, fear engulfing any sense of hope that had briefly dared to peek through the cracks. Justin, please. You're missing the point, I pleaded, desperation coloring my words. I'm not trying to reject you. I'm just trying to find out who I am without the weight of your expectations. His face softened ever so slightly. The lines of anger held taut, giving way to something more vulnerable. You think this is about me expecting you to fit a mold? I just don't want to see you fail. You know the world out there can be cruel. And I don't want to live crushed under your definition of success. I snapped, stepping into my own strength, drawing from the chasm of emotion that had become a familiar friend. I took a breath, trying to reignite the courage I felt only moments before in Rowan's presence. What I need from you is understanding, support. But the crack in the surface didn't last long before the storm of ambiguity rushed back in. We were standing at the intersection of explosive emotions, fear of failure, lurking beneath the surface. Just then, a rustling behind Justin diverted my attention, and with growing dread, I realized his fiancée Lily had emerged from the house, the glow from a nearby light outlining her silhouette. Justin, what's going on? She asked, her voice a mix of confusion and concern. The sudden interruption felt like ice being poured over boiling water, an energy shift threatening to fracture our turbulent moment. As Justin opened his mouth, likely to deflect, I could see Lily's eyes dart between us. I heard shouting. I had just begun to weave a thread of hope deep in my chest when Justin's voice rang out, laced with indignation. Don't worry about it. Just me and my sister having a little disagreement. But in the blink of an eye, the veil of secrecy draped over my past threatened to unravel. What's going on? Lily pressed further, her keen perception making it clear she wouldn't let us bypass the tension this time. That's when I dared to meet her gaze, feeling the hints of vulnerability intertwining with an overwhelming sense of urgency. Do you ever wonder about the paths not taken? I blurted out, the question spiraling into open air, vulnerable and unguarded. What if I told you I'm scared of ending up trapped like it's all been mapped out for me? Lily's brows knit tightly as the weight of my words captured her attention. What do you mean? She asked, concern spilling into her tone, but it felt muffled against the backdrop of rising tension between Justin and me. Before I could gather my swirling thoughts, Before I could articulate the myriad of emotions tangled in my heart, Justin's face turned a shade paler. There was something unnerving brewing beneath the surface, and in that moment, I knew that any response might unravel layers I couldn't yet face. Then, without warning, he took a step back, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You don't get it, but maybe you'll understand when it's too late." With that, he turned abruptly, leaving the garden behind him. I felt a swirl of emotions battling within, while Lily stood there, confusion painting her face. "Will you explain what just happened?" she asked, eyes darting toward me seeking answers. But as I searched for words, the weight of dread began to creep back in. Where had Justin gone? What had he meant? And as my heart pounded, fear and uncertainty cascaded over me like a crashing wave, filled with uncharted waters and the reckoning of secrets yet to unfold. The next step felt heavier than ever, the unresolved conflict leaving me dangling precariously over the edge of both hope and despair. The silence that followed Justin's sudden departure felt like a suffocating fog, invasive and heavy. I looked towards Lily, her expression a mix of concern and confusion, and in that moment, I was acutely aware of the distance that had been etched between family, a chasm wide enough to swallow whole the fragile connections we once shared. "Can you tell me what happened?" Lily pressed gently, breaking the stillness. "You both were caught in a whirlwind of expectations," I interrupted, the words spilling out like water breaking through a dam. "He thinks I owe it to him, to the family, to fit into a mold I can't stand. I just want to find my own way, but he thinks I'm throwing everything away." The weight of my own frustration, alongside the fear that bubbled beneath, clawed at my insides. I could see the flicker of understanding light in Lily's eyes. She was so often the bridge between Justin and me, playful and kind, able to see both sides. Yet, the gulf felt impossibly vast. "But you're not a disappointment," she said softly as she stepped closer, her presence warmth in the chill of the evening. "And he loves you, even if he doesn't show it the way you hoped." The words were meant to comfort, but they only tightened the grip of guilt around my throat. I had hurt Justin, I could feel it deep in my bones, and for a moment I struggled against the tears threatening to spill over. "He thinks I'm just giving up without realizing how hard I've fought to get here." "I know it's hard," she murmured, crossing her arms gently. "But you also need to remember scared. He's always been the protector, the one who takes care of everyone. You breaking away might feel like a threat to him, like he's losing control." My heart twisted at the insight, the clarity piercing through my confusion. "But does he have to make me feel like I'm failing just because I'm trying to soar? Sometimes love hurts. It pushes us away even when we desperately want to be close," she replied, her voice soft but resolute. There was a truth in her words that struck me, and it cloaked me in sadness as I stood there, the tension still crackling in the air. I remembered the weight of the past, the expectations, the pressure, the fight to rise above the mold that had never felt right. What if I'm more qualified to fail on my terms rather than succeed on his? Does that make me a failure? The silence followed me, echoing my torment until Lily spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. "You know, it's not just Justin who's scared of losing you to the world. It's the entire family. We've always leaned on each other." Her words clung to my heart, opening wounds I didn't have the strength to acknowledge. Just as I was about to speak, a faint noise interrupted our momentous soft beeping sound cutting through the crisp night air. My phone, buzzing insistently in my pocket, startled me back into reality. I fumbled for it, my heart racing as I saw the caller ID on the screen. "Mom. The last number I wanted to see right now." "What do you think she wants?" Lily asked, concern etching her features. "I don't know." My voice was a tense whisper. "Maybe she wants to talk about Justin. Maybe she's heard what happened. Are you going to answer it?" The phone buzzed persistently, pulling at my insides like a magnet. I guess I have to." "Well, just hey," she encouraged gently. "You can do this. Just go into it with an open heart." With a shaky inhale, I swiped to answer, holding my breath as I raised the phone to my ear. "Hi, Mom." "Sweetheart." Her voice cracked a broken melody that danced through the lines. "I was worried about you. Justin told me you had an altercation. Is everything okay?" The question weighed heavy, uncertainty clawing up my throat as I considered my response. "I'm trying to be okay," I stammered, surprised by the fragile honesty spilling from my lips. "Oh honey," she sighed, and I could picture her face etched with worry. "You know your brother. He means well, but sometimes he gets consumed by fear. He worries about losing you. Does he worry about how I feel? I asked, bitterness and hurt flowing together like two rivers, merging, creating a storm. Does he worry that he might be pushing me away? You know he loves you, right? He just wants what's best for you even if he doesn't see things clearly. Her tone softened, but the weight of her words was suffocating. Mom, I can't be what everyone expects me to be, I exclaimed, feeling the urgency rise. I can't breathe under all this weight. I just wish it could be different. There was a pause on the other end, the air thick with the unsaid. Maybe it will be, she whispered. Maybe it just takes time. But even as the words drifted, uncertainty gnawed at me. Time felt like a double-edged sword, both a promise and a weight that threatened to pull me under. I needed a way forward, a flicker of hope amidst the chaos, but as I hung up, the question remained. What if time ran out before I could surface, before the fog lifted, before Justin understood me beyond the family portrait? Turning back to Lily, I found her waiting with a solemn expression, uncertainty mapping her face. Just then my heart lurched as I realized there was something else I had to confront, not just the growing rift with Justin, but the echoes of roles within a family, and my own struggle to define who I was supposed to be. And as I took a step forward, pulling my thoughts together, a muffled gasp echoed behind us. I whipped around to see Rowan standing on the edge of the garden, her face pale, eyes wide. You'll never believe it, she breathed, a quiet dread replacing her usual buoyancy. I just found something about you and Justin. Something you need to see. The weight of dread settled once more. Now entwined with confusion, a new layer to the already strained situation, threatening to spiral even further out of control. The air felt dense, pregnant with unspoken truths as Rowan's words hung between us, dissolving the fragile moment we shared. My heart raced, a wild drum echoing in the already fraught atmosphere. I searched her expression, but all I found was a mix of shock and urgency, as if she were afraid that what she was about to reveal would shatter the thin veneer of stability I desperately grasped onto. What do you mean, Rowan? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, almost afraid of the answer. The shadows carved lines of worry on her familiar face, a stark contrast to her usually bright and playful demeanor. Point two was organizing some old boxes. She stammered, her insecurities about discussing something so crucial evident in the way her words stumbled over each other. And I found something in a stack of magazines. An old Forbes issue, your face on the cover. My breath caught in my throat, and for a moment the world blurred around me. My mind raced back to the day I had been honored with that cover, the acknowledgement and applause. It had felt like I had broken free, like I could finally flaunt my individuality. Yet, the triumph faded quickly, overshadowed by family expectations and the constant comparisons to more traditional paths. Rowan, that was a while ago. It doesn't matter now. I tried to brush it off, the words bitter on my tongue. Are you kidding? She exclaimed, her eyes widening. This is huge. You don't understand how powerful that image can be, especially now. You need to show Justin. It might change everything. A flicker of hope ignited in my chest, accompanied by a heavy sense of dread. Could this actually help? Could a few glossy pages mend the fractures? Or was it just another futile gesture that would be swallowed by the chaos of the situation? I felt a tumult of emotions, part excitement, part fear of rejection, maybe. But what if he sees it as another failure? Another reminder of why I'm not enough? The words tumbled out before I could stop them, raw and unfiltered. Rowan looked at me with those fierce hazel eyes, grounding me. You can't keep measuring your worth against someone else's expectations. You are more than those comparisons. This cover was a testament to your own achievements, not just an anomaly. Her encouragement stirred something in me, a deep-seated yearning to be seen for who I truly was, and to claim the possibility that maybe, just maybe, I was worthy of love and acceptance, not just in the confines of the family tapestry, but for me. Lily stepped closer, an encouraging hand resting on my shoulder. You deserve to own that moment, to embrace who you are beyond what any of us think. What if this is a chance to start a real conversation with Justin? A step toward understanding? I looked at the two of them, their unwavering belief in me igniting a small flame of courage. Okay, I whispered, the resolve settling back into my bones. I'll show it to him. Maybe it will help. Let's go find him then. Rowan nodded, determination painting her voice. But a sudden wave of doubt washed over me. What if I revealed this and it only pushed him further away? What if this was the last strug ID encounter instead of a bridge? Just as I stepped forward to follow them, my phone buzzed again in my pocket, an incoming message that felt like a murmur from the universe, a call to confront my fears and make a decision. I pulled it out, but my heart plummeted when I saw who it was from. Justin. It read simply, "We need to talk. I can't keep putting this off any longer." An icy jolt shot through me, my pulse quickening. This was it. The moment I had wished for and dreaded in equal measure. What would he come to say? Would it be another confrontation? Or would it contain the promise of reconciliation? Rowan and Lily glanced back at me, confusion blooming into their expressions. "What does it say?" Lily asked, concern knitting her brow. I swallowed hard, the walls closing in again. "It's Justin. He wants to talk." A thick silence fell, the perspective of time stretching painfully, mirroring the chasm I felt between my longing for connection and my fear of rejection. Part of me wanted to step back, to hide in the cocoon of my uncertainty. But the other part, the part ignited by Rowan's discovery, urged me forward. "Let's go meet him," I found myself saying, surprise coloring my tone. Hope fluttered, even as anxiety clutched at my heart. Yet as we navigated through the shadows of the garden, the weight of the moment stifling under the weight of unsaid things, I couldn't help but feel the urgency of the unknown awaiting us, an emotional cliff that seemed ready to plunge us into darkness, or perhaps lead us to light we desperately craved. What would we discover if we opened that door? Would Justin understand me, see me beyond the expectation? Or would it break all that little hope I'd managed to hold on to? The questions gnawed at me, swirling in the corners of my mind, weaving a tapestry of fear and desire, holding me captive as we made our way toward whatever truth lay ahead. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the garden as we approached the bench where Justin waited. Anxiety twisted in my stomach like vines strangling delicate flowers, making it hard to breathe. The world around me felt surreal, the soft whispers of leaves echoing the chapter that was about to unfold. I glanced at Rowan and Lily, their reassuring presence a balm against my swirling thoughts. Yet I still felt unmoored. "Just remember," Rowan said softly, squeezing my hand as we drew closer. "No matter what happens, you've got us. You're not alone in this." I nodded, though doubt lingered like a dark cloud. What if the conversation didn't go as I'd hoped? Just yesterday I'd found myself tangled in a web of fear and sorrow. Now, with hope flaring anew, I feared it could be extinguished just as quickly. As Justin raised his gaze to meet mine, a mix of bemusement and worry etched across his features. I felt the air thicken between us, the magnetic pull of unresolved history crackling with unspoken feelings. "Hey," he said tentatively, his voice low and cautious. "Hey," I replied, trying to sound casual. But my heart raced, each beat echoing the weight of our shared past and the uncertainty of our future. "Thanks for coming," he continued, running a hand through his hair, a gesture I had always associated with his unease. For a moment it felt like we were still kids, bound by ties of innocence before ambition frayed our connections. "Of course. You said you wanted to talk," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He inhaled deeply, his eyes scanning my face as if searching for clues. "I didn't mean for things to get so out of hand. Mom and Dad have done enough damage." "I know," I interjected, my frustration bubbling to the surface despite my wish to keep the peace. "But they're not the only ones that matter, Justin." He flinched at my words, and the tension in the air thickened further. "I don't want to place blame here. You've got to understand where I was coming from. I just want us to find a way back to being a family. To fix things." A knot tightened in my chest. How could he talk about fixing things when it felt like what was broken wasn't immediately visible? "You think it's as easy as that? We haven't been a family in ages. You're too focused on appearances, on what everyone thinks." "Sometimes I wish things were different too," Justin said, his voice barely above a whisper. He was vulnerable now, a stark contrast to the protective shell he typically wore. "I found out about the Forbes cover. Rowan showed me." The mention of that moment wrapped around us like a fragile thread, making the air crackle with anticipation. "You did?" I felt both anger and anxiety swell. This was not just a superficial issue. This was about my place in both the family and in his eyes. "You're more than you think you are," he said, eyes fierce with conviction. "But I've never understood how to support you. I thought I was helping by steering you toward what was practical. I didn't realize how hurtful I was being." My breath caught as I processed his admission. There was a blaring vulnerability in his tone that made my heart ache. Yet, behind those words I could still feel the looming shadow of our parents' expectations. And I feel like I'm constantly failing you and them, I admitted, anger dissipating into a quieter pain. No matter what I do, it's never enough. I don't want to feel like an outsider in my own family. At that moment, I saw shame flicker in his eyes, and the familiar divide between us felt less mountainous. A bare thread of hope lingered, the chance to finally break through and reach an understanding. But just as I thought we could bridge the gap, Justin's expression shifted. A heaviness blossomed, a shadow passing over his face. I didn't want to bring this up, but I think I might actually be taking a step back, he said, almost sheepishly. My fiancée's been talking to our parents about this. She believes there are deeper issues. My stomach churned, confusion mingling with disbelief. Deeper issues? What the hell do you mean? I don't think it's just you anymore. It's all of us. Only learned recently some of the things she's found out about our family's expectations and the pressure they put on us. It was never just about you being a failure. It's about the facade we've all been living. A rush of emotions flooded my senses as I blinked rapidly. Was it possible? For years I'd felt like the scapegoat, but was there more to this elaborate charade? I couldn't find my voice as the reality settled in and coiled itself tightly around my heart. How can we step away from that? How can we stand up to them when they've held the reins for so long? For starters, he said, his voice gaining strength, we have to start by telling them how we really feel. But I need you with me. We can't do this alone anymore. Hope warred with fear in my heart. What if confronting our family's toxic expectations only widened the chasm? As I opened my mouth to respond, the sound of my phone vibrating in my pocket jolted me back to reality. It felt like a warning from the universe, urging me to reconsider. With trembling fingers I fished out my phone, surprised to see a message from Rowan. Please call me. I just heard something about Emily. Tension coiled around my stomach, every unearthed feeling amplified by the sudden urgency. Justin, oh God, what is it? He interrupted, panic creeping into his voice. The meaning rushed over me, an urgent shadow eclipsing all hope. I'm not sure, I murmured, unable to form the words. We stood there, weightless yet burdened by the prospect of revelations waiting just beneath the surface. What could Emily possibly have discovered? What threads lay tangled in the family tapestry I thought I knew? As a shroud of uncertainty drew around us once more, I wondered if, despite our newfound understanding, we were still at the edge of something irrevocably darker. The air around us buzzed with tension as I stared into the screen of my phone, Justin's expression shifting from concern to a flicker of something darker. My heart raced with questions, and the weight of the moment sank in deeper. I hesitated, processing the gravity of Rowan's message, my mouth suddenly dry. What does she know? Justin pressed, his tone a mix of urgency and fear. I swallowed hard, grappling with the edges of the shaky truce we had just begun to forge. I don't know, but whatever it is, it can't be good. His brow furrowed, and I saw the struggle between wanting to protect me and needing to confront the truth. We should call her. Now. There was a moment before I nodded, just a flicker of time where doubt swirled in my mind. What if this changed things? What if we unearthed secrets that shattered whatever fragile connection we had just begun to rebuild? But curiously, underneath that fear, there was something else, a surge of bravery. Perhaps it was the way Justin finally looked at me, not as the family failure he had been trained to see, but as a sister worth standing up for. Okay, I said, my voice steadier, buoyed by a new tide of determination. I took a deep breath and pressed the call button, watching as his expression shifted into cautious hope. The line rang, and with every beep, I could feel the weight of our past looming over us like an ominous storm cloud. Just as I was about to lose my nerve, Rowan answered, her voice laced with urgency. Is everything okay? She asked, apprehension infused in her tone. I got your message, I said. What did you hear about Emily? There was a pause on the other end, and I could hear the shuffling of papers or perhaps her hands grazing the surfaces around her. It's about her ties to the family. I just got off the phone with Sam, and he heard something from their father. Emily has been digging into our family's history. What sort of digging? Justin interjected, his voice firm despite the tremor in it. She found out that your parents have long been involved in discussing how to manage your lives, Rowan said. Her tone clipped, each word landing like a heavy stone. They have a list of expectations for both of you that goes back generations tied to their business interests, their views on success. She thinks there's more at play here than just typical family pressure. A chill passed through me as her words settled in, igniting buried feelings of frustration and anger. So it's not just about me being a failure. It's about maintaining an image for the family. Yes, exactly, Rowan replied, and I could hear her breathing quicken. Emily believes they are preparing to announce something, possibly to tie both of you further into their world. Something big. Justin clenched his jaw, the realization dawning on him as swiftly as it did on me. His voice was low and filled with a raw intensity. What do you mean? Like an engagement party, or I don't know how far they are planning to go, but they're managing the narrative of your lives, Rowan said, urgency rising in her voice. I think it's bigger than just your careers or who you marry. It could be a merger between family businesses, and you two might just be pawns. The collective stillness hung over us, a shared horror creeping into the spaces between our breaths. I could feel Justin's pain cranking up a notch, fueling something within me. What do we do? I asked, my voice wavering. It's a dangerous game, but you both need to confront Emily together, Rowan urged. You can't allow them to dictate everything without at least challenging them. It's time to decide what you really want, not them. What if she chooses them? Justin's voice trembled, the fear of loss creeping in, uncertainty stealing the breath from his words. That's a risk we'll have to take, Rowan replied, a steely resolve filtering through her tone. You both need to make a choice between stepping into a life led by expectation or owning your truth. Just promise me you won't let fear choose for you. Justin glanced at me, and in his eyes I saw a reflection of my own fear, but also a spark of something like hope. Together? He asked, a deep sincerity threading through the question. Together, I affirmed, though dread still coiled in my stomach. With a shared heartbeat echoing between us, we hung up the call and sat in silence, our little slice of the garden now feeling both stifling and confrontational. The path ahead was unfurling like a long and winding road, stretching into an uncertain tomorrow. But just as that newfound determination began to pulse between us, my phone buzzed again. Another message. I hesitated, but the urgency within me swelled, compelling me to check. It was a text from Rowan. Again, but this time the words felt like ice cutting through my veins. Emily isn't just speaking for herself. She's been in contact with someone from your parents' side of the business. It's bigger than you realize. I'm worried she's making plans behind your backs. To those words, my heart dropped like a stone. And as I looked up at Justin, the weight of the unknown pressed around us like an iron fist. How much could we truly trust? What if our only ally was about to become an adversary we never anticipated? What if the illusion of family was about to reveal itself as a web of betrayal, waiting to ensnare us both? The sky outside was painted with brooding shades of gray, clouds rolling in heavy and foreboding. My heart mirrored the atmosphere, a storm brewing within as I shared the weight of Rowan's message with Justin. His eyes darkened with worry, the flicker of kinship we had just begun to nurture now threatened by uncertainties. What do you think she's planning? Justin asked, his voice strained, as if each word was carefully selected from a minefield of emotions. I don't know, I said, wrapping my arms around myself in a protective embrace. But if she's talking to someone on our parents' side, it can't be good. This helplessness clawed at me, an agonizing realization that the very roots of our family were entangled in an abyss of greed and ambition. Maybe things had never been as they seemed. Whatever it is, we need to find out now, Justin responded, a fierce determination bubbling to the surface. We can't let her control the narrative. It's our lives. I felt a rush of solidarity, but the gnawing fear still burrowed deep. I didn't want to face a battle against someone I had once called a friend, someone who had once shared laughter and dreams with me. Emily was fierce, intelligent, and relentless. I couldn't deny the small shred of envy stirred by her ambition. It made the terrain between us all the more perilous. Let's confront her. My eyes searched Justin's for any hint of doubt, but the fierce light that danced in his irises shot through the dimness surrounding us. Tonight, he said with a lilt of like-minded resolve. We'll invite her over under the guise of catching up. Just be careful. We'll have to tread lightly. I nodded, but the knot in my stomach tightened. What did we truly know about Emily now? Was she still the girl I once shared secrets with, or had ambition distorted our bond? The sun dipped below the horizon, and as twilight cloaked the world outside, our home became a bubble of our swirling thoughts and emotions. My heart pounded against my chest when the doorbell rang. a sharp sound breaking the silence like a gunshot in the night. Justin exchanged a glance with me, his face shadowed yet determined. He opened the door, revealing Emily, her radiant smile contrasting the storm brewing inside me. She stepped in, confident and charismatic, as if she held the reins to her own narrative. "Hey you two," she chirped, unfazed by the subtle tension that lingered in the air. "What's up?" "Just wanted to see you," I lied, forcing a smile as dread coiled tightly around my insides. We walked into the living room where the remnants of half-finished projects and coffee cups lay strewn about. A fragile silence hung between us, sticky and thick, as we settled in. I caught Justin's eye. We shared a silent promise to protect one another as we navigated these waters. "How's the wedding planning going?" I asked, trying to keep the mood light, but the question hung like a guillotine, sharp and heavy with implication. "Busy, but exciting," she replied, her voice bright but her eyes glimmering with an intensity that made my skin crawl slightly. "You know how families get when there's a wedding. There's so much to consider." I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, a knot beginning to form in my throat. "I bet," I said, forcing myself to keep the conversation alive even as my pulse raced. "I actually have a few ideas that might help," Emily continued, her tone shifting slightly as she assessed my reaction. "It would be amazing to combine our family's strengths, you know? They both have a lot to offer." I looked at Justin. His jaw clenched as if he might break something if it weren't for the thin veneer of hospitality. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice low and measured. Emily's expression softened, as if she realized she had crossed an invisible line. "I mean, our parents have a great working relationship. It would be beautiful for the wedding to reflect that too. The potential for collaboration. Imagine the business possibilities." A wave of anger pulsed through me at her nonchalant reference to business, as if my life was a mere asset in a deal waiting to happen. "Do you really think this is all that matters?" I said, my voice rising unexpectedly, driven by frustration. "Are we just pawns in some strategic family game? Like every decision we make is calculated?" "We're all here to support each other," she replied, maintaining her calm demeanor, but I caught the flicker of irritation that crossed her face. "Sometimes it's just how it is. You have to play the game to win." "No," Justin interjected, standing up. "We won't play a game we haven't chosen, Emily. This is our life and we're done letting others dictate it for us." Emily's brows furrowed, the fight sparking behind her eyes. "You should be grateful. You're both part of something bigger. You just don't see it." "Well, maybe we don't want to be part of your game," I exclaimed, feeling the weight of resentment finally bubbling over. As tension mounted, Emily's expression shifted, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through. Her voice dropped, softer, yet heavy with resolve. "Then you need to understand the truth. There's something you both don't know about your family. It goes deeper than you can imagine." My heart lurched as the air grew thick with uncertainty. "What do you mean?" I pressed, feeling the tremor of fear mingling with anticipation. "Don't you think it's time to uncover the real reason you're seen as failures, or pawns, or whatever else? You have a choice," she said with an intensity that made the hairs on my neck stand on end. Then, almost imperceptibly, she dropped the bombshell. "There's a reason I've been in contact with your parents. A reason they value my opinion." "What are you saying?" Justin's voice was barely a whisper, the atmosphere thick with dread. She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice to whisper, "You might want to sit down for this. Things are about to change." The air around us trembled with weighty revelations, a cliffhanger that loomed above our heads waiting to tumble us off into an uncertain future. Each heartbeat echoed the uncharted territory we were entering, and as I searched Emily's gaze, I feared that what we were about to learn could shatter the fragile thread of unity we were fighting to strengthen. Would it tether us to a bleak legacy or free us to forge our own destinies? The storm clouds hung low in the sky, casting shadows over the living room as we braced ourselves for the revelation Emily seemed poised to share. She leaned in closer, her eyes narrowing with purpose as she prepared to unfold the truth that could forever alter the tenuous balance we were attempting to build. My heart hammered in my chest, each beat reminding me of the weight of the moment. "Your family," she began, her voice barely above a whisper but loaded with gravity, "is entwined in a legacy that runs deeper than surface appearances. What you see as expectations and pressures is just the tip of the iceberg. Your parents have orchestrated events and destinies for generations, shaping their version of success. And it's all tied to. Her words hung in the air like a noose, suffocating and harrowing. To what? Justin interrupted, a shaky breath escaping his lips, fear and determination coiling within him. To a merger that goes far beyond our families, Emily replied, her tone changing subtly, shifting gears from condescension to something more genuine. They're planning to use your wedding as a platform to unite two business empires. Your wedding is not just about you, it's a ploy. They want to double their power. This isn't just about family, it's about control. The weight of her words hit us both like a slap. The gravity of the betrayal sunk in, festering awareness through my veins. All those years of fighting to forge my own identity, and for what? A pawn in a chess game neither Justin nor I had even been invited to play. No, I gasped, disbelief etched across my face. You can't be serious. Emily's gaze held steady, unwavering. Believe it. Your parents have seated the two of you on a golden platter, and your lives could become the centerpiece in a deal that would solidify their power, so this is why you've been so eager to collaborate? Justin spat, his voice trembling with anger. You think we'd just go along with this charade? Her eyes flared with passion. I'm trying to help you see what's happening, even if it is from the sidelines. I've been gathering intel. It's more than business. It's manipulation. Your lives have become a bargaining chip. The revelation twisted in my stomach, stirring up old resentments and fears I thought I had outgrown. The very idea that my dreams were crafted into a business proposal by my own family was unbearable. I took a deep breath, trying to find balance in the whirlwind of chaos now laid bare before us. Why didn't you tell us sooner? I asked, my voice trembling. Why wait until now? Because you needed to take ownership of your own story first, she asserted, a threat of defiance threading through her tone. But now that you know, it's time to decide who you want to be. This is about you two claiming agency over your lives. As the truth settled within me, I felt the sharp pang of clarity. I wasn't just battling for my identity, I was fighting for the future Justin and I deserved. A future free from our parents' calculated whims. I won't be a pawn, and I won't let them dictate my life, I said, gathering courage I barely knew I possessed. We deserve better. I've worked too hard to achieve my dreams, and Justin, you deserve to forge your own path, too. My words hung in the air, a silent challenge pulsating between us. Justin nodded, his determination kindling as he drew a breath with newfound resolve. We have to confront them. Together. The bond forged in our battles, our struggles, felt palpable, stronger than all the family expectations pressed upon us. But just as empowerment surged through the room, I could sense Emily's hesitance. You don't know how hard it's going to be. They won't just take this lightly. They've kept secrets for a reason, and facing them could cost you. Then let it cost us, Justin interjected, voice steady now. Would rather face the truth than hide behind their lies. I felt a tremor of fear surge through me. It was visceral, palpable. Yet nestled deep within that tremor was a burgeoning sense of Clarissa, fierce understanding of what needed to happen. There's strength in knowing who we are and who we want to become, I reminded them both, my voice gaining volume, daring to punctuate the declaration that had been waiting to escape. We won't let them chain us anymore. We'll confront the truth head-on, arms linked, not looking back. Emily's eyes shimmered with surprise. Her resolve seemed to soften, the intensity wavering. You two are more than I thought, she murmured, almost reverently. Just be careful. Their reaction could be severe. And well, face it, I affirmed, the fire in my belly too fierce to extinguish. It's time we claim our truths rather than let others claim you. As dawning realization dawned on us. The three of us sat there together. A strange bond dancing in the space we had created, a bond forged by betrayal but flickering with hope. It was unexpected but potent, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And as the realization settled in my heart that we could reclaim our destinies, I heard a voice, soft and ethereal, echo in my mind. It was the voice of a sister who had known her worth long before the attempts to diminish her. It was a power lying dormant, waiting for a spark to ignite the fire within. Together, Justin affirmed again, and I felt a rush of energy weaving through the air, of kinship and determination, the spark illuminating the darkening sky. Tonight I would step beyond those shadows. And as we prepared ourselves to confront our family's truth, a thought crossed my mind, suspended in the web of uncertainty. What if, in confronting the web of deceit, we were truly ready to rewrite the entire narrative? With our hearts intertwined, standing side by side, I knew we were about to discover the extraordinary power of the truth and the profound bond that could unite us in ways we never imagined. With every fiber of my being, I believed that not just a murky legacy, but a brilliant future awaited us too, both entwined in blood and forged by fire. And it was time to reclaim our light as we moved toward that unknown future, facing familial chaos together. I caught a glimpse of what laid ahead in the shimmering shadows, the shimmering reflection of newfound possibilities, right alongside a fierce resolve that breathed life into my heart. Tonight everything changed, and in that moment I understood. Sometimes fractures could birth the most beautiful unions, and strength had the power to overcome everything. In the end, truth wasn't just a destination, it was a journey worth taking, hand in hand. Maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back home.